BBC Two Scotland, it's all about the joys of the Scots language. So, haud your reisht, geese your luggies, and have a swatch at Blethering Scots. It's a stoter.
My favourite Scots word is stramash.
Fankle.
Gallus.
Glaikit.
Feared.
This is a celebration of the Scots language. Rich, varied, moaning and funny. We've asked a bunch of well-kent faces to choose their favourite Scots words, tell us why, and celebrate a few others besides.
Oh, you cheeky bism. Unless the fearties.
Look at those wee beasties.
You must do that.
You rackle-handed gowk.
There's been a murder.
You know, one of my favourite old Scots words, and one that I miss a lot, is fankle. You know, this is a classic example of a fankle. You do it all the time, you know what I mean? The back of the stereo with all the wires, the fankle. One of these really useful words. I didn't even know what it looked like, because you just said it. You never wrote it down. But let's have a look at what it looks like. It's wait a minute, no, we've got this is a fankle for a start. You see, that's there. I think it's there to there to there, and you see, we've unfankled it. Fankle, a great wee word.
Actor Bill Patterson remembers his childhood well, and some of the words he used.
When I was growing up, if you used any Scots words which we used all the time, we used glaikit and we used numpty and we used drish and we used dur and we used them all, I could never have spelt them. And the idea of using them at school would have been unheard of. You'd have got a row for you, if not the belt, for using the word glaikit in the class. And what really interests me now is that you could actually see these words being spelt. And in dictionaries you see, it's got a certain kind of a shape. The words never had a shape to us. They were completely oral. They were something we heard and we passed on and we lived with in that way.
And for these school children in Aberdeen, their version of Scots, Doric, is very much alive and kicking.
Neat, tate, lasses and moons, gads, flea, suket, mingin.
Stoter could refer to an attractive person.
Stoter?
It's a nice thing to be. To be a stoter is you're doing good, and I wouldn't mind if occasionally somebody's described me as a stoter once in a while.
Not only is Scott still burling around the playground, but it's now found its way into some classrooms too.
Wee Jackie Peary sat on a cheery who can out plumb frae a flan. He looked at his fingers and said, "They're humdingers, fit a smart little birkie I am." Oh me, my granny catched a flea. She roasted it and toasted it and hid it for tea.
Sheepy, blackface fits that oo. Nae that all serve free packet foo. Een for the wifey and een for the boss and een for the old loon that sleeps upon the closs.
My mother used to use words like bean. And of course she used ashet for pies and jigget for chops. And of course one day I said, "You know, Mum, these are all French words." And she said, "What? No, I don't know any French. I've never spoken a word of French in my life." I said, "Well, they are. Because bien, I believe, is from the French, bien, meaning well off." Because I said, "Who are these bean folks?" She said, "Well, they're well off." I said, "Well, they're French." The ashet pies that we knew, where the pie is baked in a dish, the French assay. Old Rabbi Burns with his "bring to me a pint of wine" and put it in a silver tassie, was using a French word, tasse du vin for a glass. So we have a wide influence, but none of them we ever saw written down. And I think it's fantastic now to think that we're studying these words and kids are picking them up again and using them.
My favourite Scots word is gallus. Cheeky, bold, mischievous, and let's face it, more than a little bit stylish. That's me, Gallus.
Singer and television presenter Michelle McManus is wary of the weather, especially when she's stravaiging in the country.
It's not easy being stylish in this Scottish weather. I mean, if you're in the city, even on a dreek day like this, all you have to do is jump in a cab. But when you're out in the country, you never know what you're going to get. It could be hot. It could be cold, it could be cloudy, it could be windy, or it could be pouring with rain. And let's face it, nobody wants to get drookit. but then it gets cold. Really cold. I am talking chittering. And when that happens, I like to put on a nice big scarf. The more colourful, the better. And don't talk to me about the wind. When it is blowing a gale outside and you've spent 3 hours doing your hair, you're left scunnered by it. But the worst of all is the wind, the cold, and the rain. Nightmare. Now in Scotland, it's no coincidence that we have many different words for rain and cold, but not that many for sun. I wonder why. And surely the best Scots word for Scots weather is braw. Fine, beautiful, excellent. Anyway, enough about me. See you later.
My favourite Scots word is stramash. A bunch of guys playing rugby, desperate to get their hands on this ball.
Having won 61 caps for his country, Gavin Hastings is one of the best rugby players ever to come out of Scotland.
Stramash. These big, hairy forwards just wrestling for the ball and giving it to the backs to try and score tries. It was great fun. We used to get messy and muddy. It was a big stramash.
Keep it on. Don't come on.
Yeah, I think there's occasions that just really you feel that a Scots word really sums up what on earth is going on, and for me, stramash is just fantastic, and particularly when applied to rugby.
I tell you a word that I really, really like, but I very seldom get an opportunity to use it, and here it is. What I'm much more likely to do is this, to blether.
Call K on BBC Radio Scotland.
Good morning, I hope I find you well, even though it is a gaidrich day out there, never mind, a good day.
It's Kay Adams' job to talk. And as a broadcaster on both radio and television, language is her business.
I really enjoy the Scots language. I enjoy using it. I get a great kick out of these words, and sometimes dropping them into conversation knowing that the people that I'm with won't have a clue what I'm talking about. But I absolutely feel that we should be sharing them and sending them out there and make them part of a great big mix.
0500 92 95 00. Call K now.
It's so enjoyable actually using these words, and as I think about it, I realise that I censor myself. Because when you're in a professional situation, for some reason, you kind of think you've got to be proper. And I shouldn't really, should I? Because there are so many words that are just so expressive. Yeah, bampot, yeah, clipe, yeah, tumshy, yeah, Egypt, yeah, blethering Scots, yeah, cheeky bism. I remember on one occasion talking within Loose Women, and it got very passionate and heated, and I said something like, "This is a ridiculous douchey," and everyone just stopped because they really didn't have a clue what I was talking about. So I had to kind of backplay a little bit there. So I suppose it goes back to the time that I was brought up, and you know, you had a posh voice, you had a telephone voice, and you had to speak properly if you wanted to get on in the world. And thankfully, we don't have that feeling quite so much now, because we all travel so much more as people and generally enjoy language. Most people enjoy language, enjoy playing with it. And, you know, any time that I have been outside Scotland and I've used words that are very Scottish, whether it's dreich or even the word wee, tiny wee, toty wee word, used all over the world, and interestingly, most usually used in just the right sense, because it means more than just size, doesn't it? Wee has got a whole kind of atmosphere to it as a word. And it's incredible how people of all different nationalities click right into it. Argy-bargy is another one. It's one of those words that has just transcended a kind of nationality, and everyone uses it, so everyone enjoys it, which is a great thing. Minging, perhaps not such an attractive word, but Scottish originally, but now happily used by anyone and everyone. Minging.